Okay, hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So today's reading is all about the next 24 hours. We're going to be looking into what significant things are going to be happening for you next. So essentially, within a day, there's going to be a few big changes for you. We do have 3 piles for you to choose from today in our pick pile reading. So we have pile 1, 2 and 3. For some of you, you might prefer to choose like traditionally, which is just to pick the pile you feel most intuitively drawn to based on the energy, based on the vibe, without actually knowing anything about the card or anything surrounding it. But for others of you, you might need a little bit more help or prefer to choose in a different way. And so for that reason, we're going to do a few things. So firstly, I'm going to add objects to each pile. So let me add those now and then I'll introduce those to you. Okay, so for pile 1, you have sunflower, Jasper. And a crystal is your object. For pile 2, you have a bag of dried flowers as your object. And for pile 3, you just have this real cute light pink jar that is empty for your pile topper as well. Okay, so the next way you can pick your pile is based on the number of the pile or based on the numbers in the timestamps below. Maybe those resonate with you. And if not, then we can also get out some zodiac crystals for you guys to pick the pile that either has your zodiac sign or has a zodiac sign that you resonate with, that you really like. So for example, I'm an Aries, so I usually pick an Aries pile, but I also love Sag and Scorpio. So if I see those, I also pick those. Okay, so for pile 1, our 4 zodiacs are Aries, of course, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Taurus. For pile 2, we have Libra, of course they're the middle pile, Leo, Cancer, and Aquarius, love that. And for pile 3, we have Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, of course, the final pile. Okay, so there is that. And then also, if you like to pick with like a card on top, that just gives you an indication of how the reading's going to go, we'll also pull one oracle now for you. And then we'll pull more oracle cards once we're actually in the reading as well. I just got this new deck, it's called the Reclaim Oracle, and it's just so cute. It's like all black and pink, and it's also really easy to shuffle because it's like small. But there's also like plenty of cards. Anyways, this isn't no deck review. Okay, so for pile 1, you have Longing. Let's see what oracle card we get for pile 2. We have Purpose, and for pile 3, we have Neglect. Okay, and for those of you who want to know what pile I would pick for you, if you really need extra help and you're really struggling to make a decision, I can choose for you. So I would actually pick pile 1, Longing, because it's got a Jasper stone, and I always pick Jasper stones, and it's got Aries. Excuse me, kitten. No, okay, right. So you pick pile 1 too then? Yeah. Do you pick pile 1 too then? Good girl. She's an Aries too. Okay, so Kit has also spoken and she picks pile 1 as well. So once you have picked your pile, there will be a timestamp in the description box below for you to find your reading more easily, and I will meet you there. Bye. Okay, hello pile 1, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Longing card with the Aries, the Scorpio, the Capricorn, and the Taurus. And let's see what other card is underneath this one. Oh, okay, so we have the Judgment card in reverse. Let's also get a couple more, maybe 1 or 2 oracle cards for you. Okay, so we have Perfection. And let's see if one more comes out. If not, we'll leave it for now. I think there might be two here. So you have awe, and you also have avoidance. Let's get some more tarot cards for you as well. Also a new deck I just got. Okay, so you have the Six of Cups in reverse. Okay. Oh, we have the Ace of Cups as well. We also have the Three of Cups. Lots of cup energy. And we also have the Three of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, let's get a couple of these tea leaf reading cards. So obviously these are tea leaf reading cards, so they're not going to be like, you know, very specific. It's more obscure symbols to work with. So here we've got the King, Queen, Jack and Joker. So we've got all of the top of the suits, all of the courts. So that's very interesting. Okay, we also have Jug and Jewels. Okay, so we have more symbols here as well. So we have shell, ship, spider, spoon and star. Lots of S's. And you might be wondering what this is. We're basically going to use this later, but it's a bag of tarot dice. By the way, earlier I think I read this card as perfection, but it actually says protection. Okay, so first I'm going to start off with what I'm kind of seeing, and then we can kind of get into how that's going to impact the next 24 hours, how that relates to it, you know, who's involved, why this is happening. We can get into all of that, but first I just kind of want to get into what I see. So very clearly there's something you want, because you've got longing as your significator card, along with judgment in reverse, which is all about self-doubt. So I find that really interesting, because you've got the awe card. So there's something you're really impressed by, where you're like, wow, oh my gosh, like look at that kind of thing. There's something you want. Like, it feels like, because this person is so small, they're staring up at this massive universe, galaxy, they're really inspired by it, impressed by it. It's so much bigger than them, they're very daunted by that, and it makes them feel small. They're very, they appreciate what they're looking at, they respect it, they want it, but they feel inferior to it, because this planet here that they're looking at is just so much bigger than them. And it's actually bigger than the planet they're standing on. It's almost like you have a little bit of what the thing you want has, but not as much or not enough, and so for that reason you're feeling like inadequate. So there's a strong sense of longing, potentially because you're not putting yourself forward for this thing, you're not trying to go after it, you're avoiding it because of this self-doubt that you have. But then we've got that protection card, which is really interesting, because it's almost like, in a sense, you're protecting yourself from getting hurt by not going after it. You know, if you stay in the same place, you don't change, you don't go after this thing, you don't do anything differently, then nothing changes, and for that reason you feel safe in that, because you know what that is like. You've lived it, you're comfortable in it, it's familiar to you. What is scary and risky is putting yourself forward for something unknown. Because with the universe as well, which is what this person is awestruck by, with the universe, it's big, it's vast, it's mostly been unexplored, you know. It's something where you don't know what's waiting around the corner, like you don't know anything about it. And for that reason, that's quite scary and intimidating and off-putting. So to put yourself out there, try and go after this thing and not know what future lies ahead of you is really scary. So it's almost like you're trying to protect yourself by avoiding this thing, because you feel more comfortable in what's familiar. You feel comfortable without that change. And it might have something to do with love, just because we have the Ace of Cups here. But I will say with the Ace of Cups, it can be about love and new relationships. But with the Ace of Cups, I always kind of personally get more of a platonic sense of love. So like friendships, or maybe an individual sense of love. So love for yourself, love for your life. Like, I get more of that vibe from this card rather than a romantic connotation, just because it is about one, you know. It could have something to do with that, you wanting love. But with the Ace of Cups, that's the start. So that means something is initiating here. And then we've got this really interesting juxtaposition with the Three of Pentacles in reverse and the Three of Cups, because they mean like opposite things. So the Three of Pentacles is about disharmony, working alone, potentially isolating yourself from whatever it is you want because you don't feel good enough for it, or you don't feel like you can get it, or for some reason you can't move on from the past with the Six of Cups there. And so for that reason, you're kind of stuck in this mindset of like self-doubt because other friendships in the past didn't work out, so why would these? And so you're kind of isolating yourself. But then with the Three of Cups, it's like celebration, friendships, collaboration, things working in harmony. And I don't know if you can tell, but in this card there's a missing spot here. So there's usually 3 people in the Three of Cups, but there's only 2 here, and there's a space waiting for somebody to pick up that other cup. And I think that space is for you. So I think you're supposed to be that third person, especially here with protection. We've got 3 people here. So there's definitely an emphasis on friendship coming in for you and a space waiting for you, a space opening up for you to fill. So I am seeing that potentially whatever this thing is that you're longing for, it is waiting for you. It's just waiting for you to go after it and stop avoiding it. And I notice here in this card, obviously she's wiping her tears, but there's a lot of arms going on here. So it almost implies there's someone behind her also wiping her tears for her. So it's almost like maybe these people find you and these people come into your life. Especially with that Six of Cups, it's also just 2 people. Like they're waiting for an additional person. Maybe in the past you've had like friendships and connections with people that haven't worked out, and for that reason you're a little bit afraid to put yourself out there, but you were in the wrong group. You were with the wrong people in the past, that's why it didn't work out. So holding yourself back is just putting off the inevitable because you're meant to be a part of this other group. You're destined for it. Especially with the Judgment card, there's an essence of victory around that if you can turn things around and claiming what was supposed to be yours to begin with anyway. And I find it really interesting that you have jug as one of your symbols, because it's almost like you need to fill up your own cup first before you can join these spaces. Because if you've got all this longing, this avoidance, this self-doubt with the Judgment in reverse, that's not a good place to be when you're about to join something new, when you're about to join new relationships, new connections, because it puts you beneath them in your own mind. So like it opens you up to being taken advantage of in situations. So you have to have like a healthy, strong sense of self and understanding that you deserve to be treated like kindly and fairly. So it's almost like you're going to be filling up your jug in the next 24 hours. You're filling up your self-love with the Ace of Cups, but the jug symbol signifies generosity, friends planning a celebration or party, which is the exact same as Three of Cups. So it also makes me feel like not only are you taking care of yourself, but other people are going to be stepping in to bring you out of your shell and give you this thing that you've been longing for, this community. And the reason I'm saying bring you out of your shell as well is of course because you feel slightly isolated with that longing card, the awestruck card, that avoidance. Even with the protection card, there's one sort of winged angel protecting everybody. So that winged angel is kind of on their own. There's this empty space. So when I say bring you out of your shell, of course only one snail or one crab is going to be in a shell. One turtle is going to be in a shell, you know. So there's not much room for other people in there. So it's kind of like they're drawing you out of that isolated space and bringing you into a communal space. So there's good news with the shell. So the good news is you are getting the thing that you want. And that thing is kind of pulling you out of this isolation. And with the ship symbol there, there's an essence of caution on this journey. And I definitely think that's why we've got the protection card. Because it's almost like you're too afraid to go after this thing because you feel like it's very daunting. When actually, if the thing that's daunting you is like, you're worried about your self-worth, you're worried about how you're going to be received, like, honestly, no one else is stressing about it to the extent that you are. So, like, every time you worry that you said the wrong thing or said something stupid or everybody's thinking about it, they're really not. Like, I read this book, I bought it for my cousin, and I was reading it to her to fall asleep, and it was like the Lonely Ghost Club or something like that. And in that book, it kind of talks about dealing with your feelings of like, you know, self-worth, anxiety, depression, things like that. And there's a page in there where it's like no one is worrying about the things you're worrying about. And the comic showed like a ghost saying like the wrong thing at the beginning of the conversation. So let's say they say, "Oh, I'm good, thanks, how are you?" They'll be like, "How are you?" in response rather than answering. And then it shows the conversation continuing on for 5 more minutes, and then they interrupt and go, "By the way, when I said that earlier, that was a mistake, I didn't mean it." And the other person's like, "Oh, okay, cool, no worries." Like, and it goes to show, like, you stressed about that thing for 5 minutes, you're in your head, you're not in the conversation, you're not, you know, involved in the moment, you're not being present, and you're not enjoying yourself because you're stressed about silly things you said or did in the past. And actually, no one else is worried about those things. No one else is fretting about those or thinking about it. It's just you. So kind of, there's a message here of get out of your own way a little bit. I do think as well, how this is relating to the next 24 hours is I think there's going to be a shift either in the way that you view yourself or relationships, but potentially also friendships coming in for you suddenly in the next 24 hours as well, or your friendships improving, your current friendships. Suddenly you feel a sense of community, you feel brought in, and you feel uplifted, and you feel so much closer to this thing that you want. You feel like progress is being made here. And I'm noticing something else as well. So you have the star symbol for very good luck, which also goes on to say a large fortune is coming. Then you have generosity with the spoon. And then with the spider, you have indicates an unexpected legacy. And then we've got the playing card symbols in a hierarchy, the Joker, the Jack, the Queen, the King. So here we're seeing a sense of hierarchy shifting or potentially ladder climbing towards what it is you want. You're gaining some sort of authority in something. Some sort of legacy, some sort of high standing. Potentially because of the generosity of your friends. And with the star, that's you kind of getting somewhere very lucky. Not a lot of people end up getting to that space. So you're getting something very unique. You're becoming very wealthy in an area of your life. So that could be like wealth in love, it could be wealth in social status, it could be wealth in terms of your position within your community, but like you're gaining value in something. You're inheriting a legacy. You're creating a legacy. You're becoming a very important figure within the next 24 hours. This sort of domino effect is starting, where it's like you get the friends, and then your friends know that you really love X career, and therefore they know somebody in X career, and they put your name forward, and then you get the job, and then you know, things like that. For some reason, there seems to be some sort of domino effect that is tied to your friendships. And there's a sense of working on something as well. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm seeing. So how is this going to kind of unravel in the next 24 hours? How is this all happening? So we kind of covered it in terms of you feeling low, but recognizing that actually this thing isn't as daunting as you thought it was, so long as you're able to forgive whatever past issues you had, whatever past doubts you had about yourself or outlook that you had about yourself. You're forgiving that and recovering from it so that you can see this thing in a brand new light and feel more comfortable and more confident going for it. Not only that, but it's not just you reaching out for the thing you want, the thing is also reaching back. So let's say if it is friendship, then friends are reaching out to you in the next 24 hours. But remember, you do have to put yourself out there, but you're also getting that in return. And then this is going to be the start of something really special for you, because there's so many generosity symbols here of them pouring into you, you pouring into them, you pouring back into yourself. And then this affecting your stance in society, your stance in community, your authority, your influence. So let's use the tarot dice to ask why this is all happening now. Why in the next 24 hours? Okay, so you have the Hanged Man in reverse on the Ace of Cups here. Just above the Protection card, you had the Strength card. And then you had the Two of Pentacles just above the Six of Cups in reverse. There's definitely a big emphasis in your reading of money and love, or wealth and love, or material gain and love, and relationships and connections, because you've had a lot of Cups and Pentacles exclusively. So there's a big emphasis there on those two things being intertwined and harmonious. Okay, so because the Strength card has come out on the Protection card, the way that I'm seeing this is that you were protected potentially by the universe up until a point. And by protected, I do kind of mean sheltered a little bit, because maybe you weren't ready to kind of put yourself out there yet. But there's an element of courage and compassion with the Strength card. And so it almost feels like now is just the right timing, and that's why it's happening, because now you're at a point where within the next 24 hours, you have this sudden sense of empowerment and this courage and confidence to actually be like, hang on a minute, I can also achieve this thing. If I've seen other people do it, why can't I do it? And so you're no longer as intimidated by this, awe-striking thing. Instead, you're really, determined to go after it. You're courageous. You're like, let me just do it. Let me put myself out there. And so it's just the right timing for you. In terms of you're not going to be sheltered anymore. The universe is going to kind of let go of your hand and you can kind of step out and do it. And that doesn't mean you're not going to be supported. It just means you're no longer being held back from this thing for your own good. And you're going to have this sudden sense of courage. It's almost like the real you is coming back through and taking over without that universal influence. And then the compassion I'm kind of getting as actually an energy from the people coming into your life. It's almost like your courage mixed with their compassion is creating like a bond here and a connection that's striking while the iron's hot. It's striking at the right time. And I especially get that just because you got the Two of Pentacles as well on top of the Six of Cups. And we kind of spoke about how with the Six of Cups in reverse, that's kind of about you needing to forgive something from the past, you being stuck in the past. But then the Two of Pentacles is all about that adaptability and you having multiple priorities and you want to get to where you're going. So it's almost like you adapting now, like you're healing. You've been on the right path this whole time. You haven't just been sitting there, by the way, with this Hanged Man in reverse. You haven't. It feels like you're sort of sitting there waiting for things to come to you, but actually you've been working on yourself. As much as you realize it or not, you've been doing a lot of introspection, a lot of work in that isolation. With that longing comes a lot of reflection of what it is you really want, and then with that comes that adaptability to change, to stop having that self-doubt, to forgive yourself for whatever it is you seem to be holding against yourself. And instead it makes you more willing to go after what it is you want, because you understand everything you want is all connected. And so you have to start somewhere and put your foot out there and, put yourself forward. But with the Hanged Man in reverse, again, as I was saying, you haven't just been sitting there. But you definitely have been presented with to be or not to be, to go after this thing or not to. And that kind of indecision has been so long. It's been weighing on you. It's been with you constantly. It's been making you feel bad with this avoidance card, that you're at the point now within the next day or 24 hours or today even, but you're finally at that point where you're like, fine, I'm going to make a decision, because I'm not going to sit here going, do I, don't I, and stressing myself out. No, you're going to be like, let me stop stressing myself out and make a choice. What am I doing here? And you're putting yourself forward for something. I think for some of you, definitely it can be friendships and relationships, connections, love in this situation, but as I mentioned, the hierarchy element as well. It can be both of those things, but I think for some of you, it might be one or the other. So some sort of hierarchy either in your career, like what it is you want to do. You're like, you know what? I want that promotion. I'm going to do this and this to go after it. Like you feel very motivated now to go after whatever it is that you want. So that's why it's happening. It's happening because you're ready, because you're courageous, because they've got the right level of compassion at the same time that you have the right level of courage. Because you want to make a decision. You don't want to be stuck in limbo anymore. Because you've done the self-reflection that you needed to. And because you're willing to forgive yourself for whatever it is you're holding against yourself. And you're done with that self-doubt. You're done with putting yourself down. So that's what I'm seeing. Now, if you'd like, you can also ask 3 questions pertaining to this situation, and I'll try and answer them with these fortune-telling cards. These are really harsh, by the way. There's like 100 no's and maybe like 2 yeses. So, you know, don't take it personally, but try and ask, you know, the right question for you now, and I will try my best to answer it. So here's your answer to question 1. Yes, you got it. Because you got the yes in like a deck where it's so hard to get that. Okay. I actually feel one of these. I don't know. I'll keep shuffling. So go ahead and ask your second question now. Not possible. So go ahead and ask your third question now. You have I think so. Okay, so that was your reading part 1. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Fridays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello my pile 2s, welcome to your reading. So you chose the Libra, Aquarius, Leo and Cancer, and you also chose this little bag of dried flowers, which actually... I'm going to move these down a bit and put those there. And you also chose Purpose as your significator card as well. Beneath that, you also had the Four of Wands. So those are your 2 significator cards. So let's get some more oracle cards and tarot cards for you so we can see what's happening for you next in the next 24 hours. Okay, we have Patience. That makes me feel like nothing too crazy is going to be happening, but who knows, let's see. I also felt this card. We have Passion. And we also have Overwhelm as well. Okay, interesting connection of cards there. Collection of cards, should I say. Okay. So let's get some tarot cards for you now. I felt these. Ooh, the 2 of Cups. Okay, so this is something to do with romantic love. So we have the Ace of Wands in reverse. And we also have the 2 of Swords as well. Wait, why are all the cards down here? You know what, it's okay. They'll be down here. And then I think I want 2 more, maybe tarot cards. So we have the 5 of Cups. And we also have the King of Pentacles as well. Okay, and now we're going to get some tea leaf reading cards. So these aren't going to be as specific because they are tea leaf reading cards, but we're mostly like drawing the symbols. So we have famous tea quotes. If you are cold, tea will warm you. If you are too heated, it will cool you. If you are depressed, it will cheer you. If you are excited, it will calm you. You know what? Tea is interesting because that's like an interesting quote because it reminds me of the fact that... You've got another quote. Okay, before I read it, the fact that I read this this thing, it was about how tea is, I can't remember if it was an article or an essay, but it was about how tea isn't, it's not that you love the taste of tea, it's that tea has thermal regulation qualities about it that make you have a certain sensation when you drink it. So you might feel comforted or cozy or supported, especially, you know, like if you get bad news and you tell someone's like, I'll put on a cup or I'll make you a cup of tea, love. Like, they do it to comfort you because it has a comforting effect, especially if you're from a typically colder country. So like the UK, for example, when you drink a tea, it's actually the heat that is making you have that like warm, comforted feeling that is then kind of like Pavloving you into loving tea, even if you don't like the taste. Because I never really liked tea, I still don't, but like I started drinking it like a year or 2 ago, and now I'm like, I want a tea, when like that never would have been me. back in the day, but it's because of the thermal regulation qualities. So that's what this reminds me of. It's not the tea itself, it's what the tea does. It brings community. You might have a cup of tea with a companion when they come around, like a friend or a family member. You make everyone a cup of tea, so it reminds you of community. It's warming. There's so many ways to look at it, which is also why I called my channel TìandTarot, spelt in the Gaelic way because of my family, but and because I liked the way it was spelt. So yeah, it's about bringing people together, having community, having a gib gab, you know. Okay, and how that makes you feel. So, who would then deny that when I am sipping tea in my tea room, I am swallowing the whole universe with it, and that this very moment of my lifting the bowl to my lips is eternity itself, transcending time and space? Interesting. I feel like, again, it's like you just having fun with a cup of tea. It's what the cup of tea represents, not so much the tea itself. So you didn't get any symbol cards, actually. You just got, sorry, my arm just like blurred everything out there. By the way, it was 555 on the camera. That might be relevant to you. But again, it's like, it's not the tea itself, it's what the tea is like bringing to you. So I'm finding this really interesting. This could very much influence the cards I'm seeing right now. So we're going to get into what I'm seeing before we actually get into like how this is going to affect you in the next 24 hours, why this is happening, who it involves. Before we get into all of that, I kind of want to get into the what. Like, what am I seeing here right now? Because I'm trying to like make sure I don't lose my train of thought in these readings so that I can try and stay clear for you guys. So I'm going to gather me thoughts and tell you what I say. You can tell I'm very passionate about certain topics because I just went on a rant about tea for like 5 minutes. But yeah. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm seeing first. So, I do just want to say straight away, I'm really sorry for those of you who like don't want a love reading, because obviously this wasn't labelled as one. But this is going to be a discussion of love, or at least your perspective on it. But you can interpret this yourself, your own way, because it can also just be about something you love as well. So not necessarily romantic relationships. But the only reason I was getting romance is because the Two of Cups is like the ultimate love, romantic love card in tarot. And then you've got passion, you've got that naughty and nice purpose card, that overwhelm, being patient. Like, it's just coming through clear to me. So feel free to skip this one if it's not your vibe, but yeah, we are going to be talking about love. So what I'm kind of seeing with like purpose, patience, passion, that overwhelm, is that you might be wanting something that you're kind of waiting on, and it feels like it's been a really slow, long process, like you've been really waiting on it, and it does have something to do with romantic love. Potentially you've been waiting on having that sense of connection with somebody that means a lot to you. And maybe at the minute you're having a connection with this person who you might not know yet. You just have an idea of a person, but you're connected through the universe, through time and space, but you're not yet in the 3D with this person. You haven't yet met whoever this is that you're longing for. And I think you get overwhelmed by your feelings. You get overwhelmed by your passion for this thing. Like, you really want this thing to happen for you. Maybe you want like a romantic connection and it hasn't been happening, and you kind of feel like you're gonna explode because like you want it, and you get overwhelmed by it, particularly by your emotions involving this situation. And I think as well, you don't really know how to act. You don't know how to go about it, because with the purpose card there's this kind of like naughty and nice energy, and then you've got this eye watching you, this eye overseeing you. So it's like there's a difference between how you're expected to behave in this situation, how you're expected to be versus how you want to be. So it could be like, for example, people are always maybe saying to you like, oh, like just be patient, it will come when it comes, kind of thing. But why be patient? You want to be extroverted, you want to be the initiator, you want to be the person going up to the people you like and being like, hey, I fancy you. Like, you want to do that. So it's this difference of like how you're expected to be. You're expected to be passive, maybe wait for things to come to you, and you don't want to be that. You want to be more active, and maybe more forward. So it could be something like that. There's just a difference there of someone or something is like having an influence over how you behave in this situation, and that bothers you. It could be the way you were taught to be from young. It's just some sort of thing holding you back from being who you really want to be, because she's like shushing her lips as well. There's like a secret, there's something you want to be or say or do that you're told is taboo that maybe you can't do. It could even be that you're not being open and honest with others about who you're attracted to. So it could be like you're being secretive about an individual you're actually into, or you like to keep your desires for a relationship to yourself, or it could be that you're actually keeping your sexuality a secret as well, potentially. There's just an element of secrecy around this as well. But I am really, really strongly seeing a sense of things being held back for you, things being delayed, your sense of direction in this situation being purposefully muddled, potentially by the universe, because the universe is trying to get you to the right person at the right time. I think you're being held back for something really big and really special, like a really great, impressive love, because you've got the Two of Cups here, which is like the best love card you could have ever got in the tarot. So you've got harmony, you know, in your relationships, a lot of love in your relationship with whoever this future person is. Or maybe you're with them now, who knows, but that's not the vibe I'm getting from these cards. But then you've also got, again, that sense of harmony and celebration with the Four of Wands, which is your significator card. So the two significator cards you have here is purpose and celebration and harmony. So this is all for a purpose. This waiting, this longing is all for a purpose, because it's going to lead you to a celebratory type of relationship, a very harmonious relationship where you're really balanced with this other person and you guys just mesh so well. You do have that Two of Swords energy coming up here, which is about avoidance. So I do think maybe you tend to have an avoidance when it comes to love, or an avoidance on your feelings about love, which could be leading to the overwhelm and that mishandling of those feelings because you're not being open and honest and free with them. But there is a sense of you maybe not being entirely honest with what it is you want and not being open, and that's leading to you taking the brunt of that because you're bottling it up, and then that hurts you, you know. And I think with the Five of Cups, you're afraid of failure. I think you're afraid to be disappointed in love as well, so that could be why there's that resistance. So there's like a double here of like that passion, that longing, but then that resistance as well. And potentially I think you have a bit of regret. Maybe there were past situationships that you're kind of thinking of, or past people that you're thinking of, where you're like, oh, I wish I'd kind of put myself forward more, or done this or done that. But they're in the past for a reason, and those things didn't happen for a reason. So clearly they weren't the right ones for you. So there's genuinely no point dwelling on that and thinking about those people. Or those situations. Alright guys, Kit is sleeping in my lap, so I'm going to be talking a bit quieter. And as well, with the King of Pentacles, this is also reaffirming for me that you are destined for like a really good love, because it's about wealth and security. And when we see the word wealth, yes, it can mean like, you know, material wealth. But usually as well, it can also be talking about wealth of love, like having a large amount of love and satisfaction with your life and contentment and happiness. And then you've got that security. So it's a relationship you feel really safe in, where you can really be your authentic self. So there is definitely a reason to celebrate with that Four of Wands. There is so much harmony around you with the Four of Wands and the Two of Cups. So rest assured that is in your future. So even if you're feeling like you have to wait now and you just can't wait, and you're really like frustrated and fed up, and you're reflecting on the past and being like, why did I do like this and this and that? There's no need to, because you're being destined for something really important. And I think with these T quotes, which I find really interesting, I'm getting two messages. One, and I don't want to like, because this might not be true, but I don't want to like make anyone think something's going to happen that isn't, but the word famous is on both of these cards twice. So it makes me feel like you are destined for fame, or the person you end up with is, or might be already. And so for that reason, it might be like it has to be a perfect timing sort of situation, or else it's not going to happen. And then also, the reason why I think you got quotes is because there's a really big emphasis on two things. One, interrogating what love means to you, because T means a lot of things, a lot of different things to a lot of people. So in the same sense, you need to look at where these feelings are truly coming from. Is it that you actually want romantic love, or is it that you would maybe feel like gaining that situation, having that type of connection in your life, would give you something else? And would it truly satisfy you? Once you interrogate these feelings of like, where are these coming from? What is it you really want? It might actually help with some of the overwhelm as well. So that's actually what I think you're doing this, and I keep wanting to say this weekend, but I mean in the next 24 hours. But the second thing I think the quotes are representing is also community, because quotes are spoken. These are things people have said, and what do you do when you drink tea? You speak. So I think what you really want is community. I think what you really want is to be heard and understood and accepted. Kit's doing her usual thing where, like, if I've spent too long doing a tarot reading, she comes in and out of the room to be like, alright, pack it up, let's wrap this up, let's finish this, come out here and play with me. So I've spent too long on you guys. But yeah, so that's kind of what I'm seeing as well. I think the truth is that you want community, you want to speak to people, you want to be understood and accepted for who you are as well. And maybe you also want to have your mark on something. For some of you, as I said, it might not be love. It might be that you want to have your mark on the world, and with that famous there, it could be that you have this great longing and passion for wanting to be someone in the spotlight. And there's a lot to celebrate in the future. There's a lot of harmony with this goal of yours in the future. But for now, I think you're doing reflection on why it is you want this thing and then how to get there. So how is this all affecting the next 24 hours for you? As I said, I think you're going to be doing a lot of reflection, especially with that patience card. I think as well you're going to be establishing better boundaries. Like if you're sick of people saying certain things to you in love, you're just going to address them and be like, stop saying that. Like, because I watched this person, I think on YouTube, her name's Maddie Jasper. Not I think, that is her name. I watch her all the time. She's a great YouTuber. And she was kind of saying how she hates the saying, like, it will happen when it's meant to happen, or like when you stop looking for love, that's when it will happen or something. And she was saying she hates that because it then makes you have this pressure of like, oh, I have to stop wanting it, and it's like, no, you don't need to do anything kind of thing. So it could be things like that when people say certain cliche quotes to you and you kind of you roll your eyes. You're gonna be like, hey, stop saying that to me, it pisses me off, this is why, like, cut it out, you know. So I think you're gonna be doing a lot of introspection and recognizing where these feelings are truly coming from, what they mean, and how to navigate them in the future, and like sit with them and feel them and not get overwhelmed by them, by your desires, by that longing. And you're going to overcome this fear of being perceived as someone with or without this thing. And also in terms of being perceived, like you're going to change the way you behave. Instead of behaving how you think you should or how people tell you should, you're just going to start behaving how you want to behave. Like, you're just going to start doing and being who you are, which I love for you. So you're going to basically be being more authentic in the next 24 hours and up-leveling in terms of boundaries. I get a very forward extroverted energy from this pile anyway, so I don't think you'll have a hard time with that. Okay, so I should have said as well, but basically this is a bag of tarot dice. So when I want more questions, rather than get out more cards and fill up this space, I'll just roll the dice on top of what's here. So I just thought for my setup that would be quite good. So we're gonna get into why this is happening now, and maybe even who it involves as well. Oh, okay. So on the Passion card, I think that's the 6 of Swords, isn't it? It's not the 9. Wait, no, that is the 9. That is the 9 of Swords, yeah. And then the Fool on this quote as well. So why now? Why are you interrogating these feelings now? It's about to happen for you. Either this step towards you becoming a famous person, or you meeting somebody, just you finding love in general, or finding what it is you want, is about to start now with the Fool card. The journey is about to begin. So the reason that you've got this, you know, excited, calm, cheer, depression, cool, heated, warm, cold, you know, kind of thing, it's going to make you feel so many different things and take you on such a crazy ride of emotions. And that's why we've got the passion, the overwhelm, the patience. Like, these are emotion cards. There's something to do with you fulfilling your true purpose soon. And so now it's really important for you to work on these feelings, figure out what it is you want, how to get there, and start stepping into your authenticity, or else you can't claim it, you know? So I think that's why it's happening now. That's why in the next 24 hours you're going to be working on yourself a lot, is because the universe needs you to, in order to get you on your next step of the journey. With the 9 of Swords, with passion, obviously that's about like having that anxiety, that worry, that fear, mixed with passion. So I think that is telling you to work out your feelings now, to calm down that overwhelm, to prevent it from escalating into and continuing in this dark way, if that makes sense. Because you've got that like angel and devil energy going on with the purpose card. It's like you could handle your emotions and your desires really, really well, to a point where they don't impact you negatively. But if you don't kind of work on them, then obviously they stay with you and they build up within you and kind of make you feel shitty. And then you're going on this fantastic, amazing, lovely journey. And instead of enjoying it, you're stressed about it. So essentially you're being told to work on that in the next 24 hours. And that's why you need to work on it. Because otherwise, when this journey comes around for you, you're not going to enjoy it as much as you could, as much as you want to. So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. And in terms of like, why now? Why are all of these feelings, these issues coming up now? You can now ask any 3 yes or no questions pertaining to this reading and this situation. And I'll try my best to answer those for you with these fortune telling cards. Now, like 80% of this deck are like no cards, so don't be upset if you get a no, because it's just like statistically really impossible with this deck to get a yes. But go ahead and ask your first question now, and I will answer that for you right now. So you have, what did you say? Oh, I hate when this happens. Okay, so maybe rephrase your question. It is guaranteed. Oh, look at you getting a good positive card out of this deck, you know. Okay, go ahead and ask your second question now. Ask again. Oh my god. That would be a YES. Yes. Wow, okay, look at you go, you know, getting these good cards. And your third question now. You have not a chance. You also had guaranteed, but it got stuck, which is why I pulled not a chance. So, take that as you will. If you want, I'll pull one more card to try and like decide whether that was a yes or a no. Yes, when you're ready. Amazing. Cool. I can't believe you got so many yeses. Honestly, every time I'm like with this deck, I pull it out, I'm like, you be nice. Okay, don't give them no negative answers. It's always like, no, never, get over yourself. Like, every single time. And then there's one time I'm like, listen, you're probably going to get a no. It's like, yes, guaranteed, you're ready. I'm like, okay, showing me up, whatever. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Fridays. Oh, no, next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Oopsie, I don't know what I said for part 1. I hope to see you here next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello my pile 3s. Welcome to your reading. So, you chose the neglect card here, which to me is kind of giving neglect of your inner child. We're going to keep that there. And then this was your card underneath. The Emperor. Nice. And then I'm going to get some more Oracle and Tarot cards for you. These are tarot dice, which I'm going to use later. Not right now. And you also chose the Empty Jar, Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces. So your first tarot card is the Queen of Wands. You also got the Four of Wands in reverse. Oh. Okay, you also have the Four of Swords. Interesting. Fours are relevant here. And let's get like 1 or 2 more. Ooh, the Three of Swords in reverse. Love that. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards for you. My gosh, I love this deck. It's just so pretty. Okay. We have connection. We also have confusion. And let's see if there's any others that want to come out. Oh, we have the Lost card. I love this card. I love the way they've drawn the ghost. Okay, you actually have a few more. So you've got hope, hate, and freedom. Oh my god. Wow. The next 24 hours is going to be crazy for you. Okay. Okay, I think that's your card then. But there isn't really much room for any more oracle cards, so that one tea leaf is fine. We'll take that one. Oh, there's two. Two here. These are a little bit different because they're tea leaf reading cards, but I'm essentially just taking out like keywords that stand out to me, things like that. I'm gonna have these like off to the side. You might not be able to see them, but I can, but it's because I need to be able to see your other cards. But I will bring those back into the reading eventually. Okay, so first of all, I want to get into what I'm seeing first, and then we can kind of get into why this is coming up now, how it's going to affect, you know, the next 24 hours for you, who it might involve. So, initially, I was kind of thinking I was seeing neglect of the inner child, and that might still be the case, but it could actually literally be neglect that you have faced, potentially with a parental figure. But we've got this kind of connection card here, where you're intertwined even if you're not in each other's space. Again, with the confusion, these two people are fused together, whether they want to be or not. There's this person hugging this ghost. There's like a loss there that they're still clinging to. And then you've got freedom without actually letting go of this ghost, because there's a ghost figure next to the person holding their hand. They've not let go of this thing, they've made friends with it. And then there's that like hatred with the mini person in the stomach of the bigger person. So again, parental and maybe maternal and like infant tension there. It could be like, so I know like this is really weird, but not to invalidate your experiences, because you might have, you know, very, very valid reasons to maybe have a bit of disconnect with a parental figure in your life. By the way, if you don't, feel free to skip this reading, because this reading is going to be about that. But there was this thing I read, and it was basically saying, like, you're kind of bound to have difficulty getting along, particularly with the maternal figure in your life, because they are the brunt of, like, your hatred at life not going your way, because they're the one who gave it to you, who, like, gave you life kind of thing, and it's easier to lash out on someone you love than someone you don't, and someone you trust, because you know there's nothing you can do that would make them, like, hate you kind of thing. So they, unfortunately, mothers always end up being like the person people like lash out on and express that like their frustrations on, which isn't fair, and it's a part of patriarchy and the way like society is set up. That's not to say obviously that people don't just like not get along with their parent for valid reasons, because I think here this is of course like valid reasons. There's a lot of like heartache but recovery from that. It's just something I was saying about, because I think with all these connection cards I'm seeing, it's almost like it was pre-woven, if that makes sense, into your existence. Before you were even a person, there was a connection there, and that connection creates a little bit of this hostility. There's a desperation to be separated from this connection, but the more you pull away, the more you're actually hurting yourself. Because you're connected here at the stomach with something. If you cut that cord, who's to say that that's not going to hurt? If this person tried to pull away from this other figure, that's going to hurt, you know? So there's a sense of, you know, even separating here, once the mother, like, gives birth, that's painful. That experience is painful. The separation, trying to, like, physically be apart from this thing or physically sever this connection or this tie, is only serving to hurt you further. And that's not to say get back into contact with them. That's not what I'm saying at all. If you were like not in contact with your maternal figure or like a parental figure, this is to say that the more you try to deny that you are from that heritage or that side of the family, the more you hurt yourself, because it's a part of your identity. So you're rejecting a part of yourself. So it's about healing and making friends with that side of yourself to feel free. So there was like something else I saw. I don't remember where I saw it. It could have been a TikTok. Like, I honestly don't know. But it was basically like when you look in the mirror and you see like the features of, let's say, your paternal side or your maternal side, and you don't get along with one of them, it then makes you like hate yourself because you see them in you because you had bad experiences with them. But you're failing to look at yourself and recognize that it's you, like you're that person that's reflecting their looks. So yes, it's reflective of them, but it's also not. It's reflective of this new person who can change the way that past generations behaved with yourself so that that image is no longer triggering. So like, let's say you had like a really bad experience with like your mum or dad, for example, and so as an adult, the more you look like them, the more you kind of hate looking at yourself and hate yourself. But you aren't them, so you're not going to act the same way as them. In fact, you've learned to act the complete opposite way. You wouldn't do those things with your children or treat other people that way. And so for that reason, that look that you hate so much is now beautiful, because you're not doing those things, you're doing it differently. So you have revamped what this connection means. You've changed it for the good. You've like essentially stopped the domino effect, the generational trauma, and stopped it and made it end with you. So that's a beautiful thing, and you shouldn't like worry about this connection because you turned it around, you made it better. So you should love that, you know? Instead of trying to distance yourself, be like, I have a bit of this person's power and I can either use it for good or evil, and I'm going to use it for good, you know? Like, maybe they're very argumentative. You don't want to be that way, but maybe you've learned from growing up in that type of household how to handle yourself in conflict, and also potentially how to be like a really good negotiator or speaker or be really diplomatic from that. So you've kind of taken their power, neutralized it, so it's no longer, you know, a negative thing, and you've made it positive in your own life. That's what I mean by don't pull away from it. I'm not saying get back to speaking with this person if you're not in speaking terms. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying forgive that side of yourself that sees them in you, because that connection's always there. So you're basically denying your identity the more you reject yourself for that. There's definitely like a sense of longing for what could have been. So maybe you really wish you had a good connection with them, and that's something you miss. You never had it, but you miss it because you can imagine what it would have been like, you know? But there's freedom around the corner, because when you make friends with this side that of yourself and this side of your dark shadow, essentially, when you make friends with this trauma and you're like, actually, as I said, you know, turning it around so it's a good thing, it frees you. And I find that really, really interesting, because I was wondering when I got this deck, I of course go through all the cards, I look at them, see what they mean. And they've got 3 people here, 3 clouds preventing them from seeing what their future holds, and 2 really big stars. And I was like, hey, where the fuck is the 3rd star for the 3rd person? And down here in freedom, there it is. So for the 3rd person, it's freedom. That's what their star is. So I think for you, removing yourself from whatever this toxicity is and turning that connection that you have with that maternal or paternal side or parental figure in your life, turning that connection, that piece of them that you have, that trait that you have within you that is similar to them, but you're revamping it to be something positive in the world. You making friends with that side of yourself and turning it around is freeing you. You're making friends with it instead of hating it. You're making peace with the fact that things didn't go how you had wished. Because at the minute, the more you try to sever this connection and pull away, the more you're neglecting yourself, and you're actually adding to that trauma a little bit more, because you're denying your true identity, that small young person within you. You're denying who they are and how they deserve to be treated as well. And I find it interesting with your tea leaf card, what you need to get started. The first thing I noticed was it said, unlike other methods of divination. So when it's saying, you know, unlike the normal way of following something, unlike the normal way of doing something, you're doing it differently. So maybe it's normal for people to harbour this trauma and try and sever this connection and kind of feel very traumatised by it for the rest of their lives. You're making friends with this dark side of yourself so that you can move on. So you're freeing yourself. It's like, yes, there's like physical distance between you and this person or these people, or your, you know, the people who caused you a lot of stress and neglect in life. There might be physical distance, but you can never break the connection of the fact that you are bonded, you are genetically from the same thing. You share a bit of DNA. Like, there's always going to be that connection, and so it's up to you to try and embrace that and turn it into something good. And what else I'm kind of seeing, I was getting a lot from your oracle cards, so I kind of dug into those and ran with it, but I was neglecting looking at your tarot cards. So to get into that, of course, with your significator card with neglect, you also had a second significator card of the Emperor, which is an authority figure. So what I'm seeing is that you were neglected by the authority figure in your life, either a parent, so like a mum, a dad, maybe a guardian of some kind. Although using that term just to sum up who they might have been, not how they might have been. The fact that you were kind of neglected by this person potentially affected your confidence and your self-respect, made you quite introverted with that Queen of Wands in reverse. Maybe even gave you a little bit of self-hatred with the Three of Swords in reverse. But there is not just a flip of narrative, but a similarity as well. So it's like they use their power, their authority, their influence for bad. But you have that same stuff within you. You have that same authority, that same influence, that same leadership quality, but you could use it for good. And so the way that you're like curing this self-hatred is by forgiving yourself with the Three of Swords in reverse, which is giving you a lot of optimism for your future, a lot of hope, a lot of sense of freedom. With that Four of Wands in reverse, you're transitioning from that time in your life, potentially distancing yourself from that conflict with them, distancing yourself from having conflict by separating from this person. And with that Four of Swords, you're reflecting on it, you're meditating, you're resting, you're relaxing, you're thinking about it, and you're letting yourself be calm. Like, you're calming your nervous system because you're forgiving yourself, you're being kind to yourself, and you're re-establishing your sense of authority. You're reclaiming your power by recognizing that you can turn their bad qualities into good qualities within yourself. Because you've seen the worst side of them, you know what a good side of that looks like. You know how not to do it, which shows you exactly how to do it in terms of like being a better version than them. And so it's making you relax, and it's fixing your nervous system. It's like fixing your issues. By the way, this isn't like a health channel, so like, speak to your GP, but I'm just saying, I think it's making you feel better. Once you forgive yourself and get rid of all of that worry about being similar to them or being connected to them in some kind of way, and mourning what could have been, when you start mourning and then healing from that, that's going to lead you to such a good place where you have so much more confidence and self-respect with the Queen of Wands in reverse. I think it's interesting because you have this self-hatred with the Three of Swords in reverse, but then with the Queen of Wands in reverse, there's self-respect. So there's literally a transition. It could be that as well. Something else I'm seeing, it could literally be that you have two sides of thinking of yourself. One side where you're like more gentle and more vulnerable and caring and kind to yourself, where you're like, I don't deserve any of those things. I have a lot of self-respect for myself. I can be a confident person. And then some days it hits you and you're just really introverted, you have a lot of self-hatred and a lot of struggle to like relax and rest and be who you are, because it does that. Trauma like gives you those like up and downs where some days you're good and then some days you're like really not good. So it could be like you're trying to balance that out as well and find a good middle ground where you're no longer like affected by this. So I think we've established the what. This is what I'm seeing. So I'm seeing you like reclaiming that power, you becoming the Emperor, you becoming the authority figure. You might even be becoming a parent soon, and maybe that's something you're worried about. You're worried that you'll be maybe not a great parent because of your experiences, but actually that the reverse is true. The more you worry about how you are going to be a parent, like whether or not you're going to be a good parent or not, statistically, you're going to be one of the best. Because apparently those who consider that and think about it and worry about it tend typically to be caring and more thoughtful about other people's experiences and considerate of their actions, and they do a lot of reflection and introspection that makes them build themselves into a better person, and for that reason makes you a really great parent. So the more you worry about whether or not you're a good person in general, regardless of whether or not you're trying to be a parent or not. The more you worry about whether or not you're a good person, can guarantee you're a good person. Like, literally, because it shows that you care. You know, people who are bad people don't worry about that stuff. They don't think about that. So you've got nothing to worry about. If you're worried about being similar to whoever this person was, you are in the sense of like genetically, yes. But in terms of like who you are as a person, like your substance, no. You don't need to worry. You're not them. Okay, so we've definitely covered who. So how is this going to affect the next 24 hours for you? I think these feelings are coming up now in the next 24 hours because either A, you have just ended this connection with this person and for that reason you're doing like a lot of reflection on it. Or B, you are right on the precipice of that healing phase, especially because we've got that Four of Swords with like the meditation, the relaxation. You're about to hit the freedom phase where you've mourned the loss of what could have been. You're embracing the connection. You're being more hopeful and optimistic for the future. And that's freeing you. So I think you're really close to being freed from these feelings, from the worry, the trauma, being held back by this connection. You're free to like move forward with your future. So I think in the next 24 hours you're going to be doing a lot of self-reflection, but not in a way where you're like thinking about this trauma and like going over all the details. It's more like you're recognizing the rest of the time you have in life is for you and it shouldn't be spent in a way that's going to add to this trauma. It's almost like you're reclaiming your time and your power. And it might not just be you as well who is going to be positively impacted by your turnaround in this, by your new perspective. I think that's what you're gaining as a new perspective, but I actually think it might have a ripple effect on other people who are like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't take shit from that person in my life or this person. And I think you actually end up helping a few people around you as well. Maybe inspiring them in the next 24 hours, just because we do have 3 people on the Hope card. Let's take a look at why. Why now? Why are these feelings like coming up for you now? Okay, so we have the Lovers in reverse. We've got the Ace of Swords and the 8 of Cups on loss. Ooh, okay, loving this. So in terms of why now, is because you're ready to walk away from this person and like lay it to rest basically. With loss, there's a sense of you accepting and grieving what could have been and just being like, okay, but this is how it's unraveled. It's unfortunate, but I'm fulfilled nonetheless. And yeah, this one thing might be missing out of my life, but it doesn't mean my other 7 cups can't be filled. And you know what? If it's between the 7 cups or that 1 cup, I'd rather take the 7. Like, if it's between you sticking around and feeling miserable versus you leaving and feeling more optimistic and free and hopeful, then you're going to pick that option. So it's because you have walked away from something that this is happening now. And it's because you're ready for a better future that this is happening now as well. You also have that again with the Ace of Swords and the Lovers in reverse. Because this is all about, with the Ace of Swords, it can be about new ideas and success. With the Lovers in reverse, it can be about self-love, which I really love. So it's you starting to love yourself. It's happening now because you're ready to love yourself and you should love yourself. And this is going to lead you to a lot of success, especially in the future. So that is why it's happening now as well, is because you're ready to love yourself, prioritize yourself. The 8 of Cups is like putting yourself first, basically, walking away from people who mistreat you or things that don't serve you because you're prioritizing yourself and your well-being. And that's exactly what you're getting here with the Ace of Swords and the Lovers in reverse. And it's putting you on a more harmonious streak with these sides of yourself, this dual nature, this connection. Instead of resisting it, you're more harmonious with it as well. Okay, so now, if you'd like, you can ask any 3 yes or no questions about this reading. Or just about this topic in general. I do just want to say, like, 80% of this deck is, like, no cards. So don't be upset if you get, like, a no. And if you get a yes, you're just a really lucky person, I guess. But go ahead and ask your first question now, and I'll try my best to answer it with these fortune-telling cards right now. So you have Indeed for your first answer. Look at you go. You got a positive one in a deck full of no's. Okay, go ahead and ask your second question now. You have it could be. Okay, and go ahead and ask your third question now. Oh, your answer is in the cards, and then you also have it is conceivable. Interesting you had the word conceive, because again we're getting that like connection between the maternal and the paternal as well. So it's definitely something to do with that. You're recovering from a poor connection with a parent essentially in the next 24 hours, and you're coming to terms with it and healing. So that was your reading, pile 3. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was insightful and, you know, provided you with a little bit of support during this time. If you did like the reading, give it a like. Consider subscribing if you want to see more from me, and maybe leave a comment below to help out as well if you're feeling like it. If you were drawn to any other piles, you know, feel free to check those out now. And if not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye!